6.9D2, conference with legal counsel, potential litigation, 2 cases. I've not received any public comments regarding closed session items. I don't know if there's any public comments. Superintendent Luna, I don't know if you've received any public comments regarding closed session items.
President Jackson, I have not.
Okay. Oh, well, with that, we will go ahead and we will go into closed session to reconvene open session approximately at 6 p.m.
Okay.
All right.
So, Sarah, we are going to log out of this meeting, and you'll need to click into the second link that Ruth sent to calendar for closed session, and then we'll come back to this.
Superintendent Luna?
I'm here.
Hi, if I
Sorry,
have,
who is this?
I'm sorry, it's Susan Smith. I teach over at River City High School.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you have a public comment?
If I have a public comment for the grading, do I send that to you? Okay. So
you can, if you'd like, you can email me, or you can stay in the meeting. They're going to the closed session portion right now, and then they'll come back for this meeting. And then if you'd like to actually leave your comment, you can say the comment, or you can email me and then I can read it for you, whichever's easiest.
Actually, I'd kind of like to read it myself.
Okay, so if you don't mind just staying in the meeting, staying on the call, and then as soon as they come back in, they will go into reconvening open session, and that will be hopefully around 6 o'clock. And then,
no worries.
Okay, so just hang tight.
You got it. Thanks so much.
Yep, no problem. Hello?
So that was like 50% of somebody else's order. And so I was giving that stuff away because I was like, I don't know how do you guys can't use this. No, it was like a bunch of guys.
Hi, just to let everybody know that the superintendent and board are in closed session. And as soon as they come out of closed session and reconvene, then the open session will start and public comments can be left. So just hang out on the call. Should be around 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to make sure that Ms. Smith is still here. Ms. Smith, are you still on the call? Are there any other members of the public? Oh.
Ruth, it's Melissa Baldwin.
Hi, are you going to
Hi.
leave a comment?
I can text Smith and see if she's still on the call. She may have gotten kicked off, but I know she wants to make a comment, and there may be some other teachers from the 912 as well.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Smith said she was on the call, but I did tell her they probably will come back around 6 o'clock. So if you send her a text, if you have it, and just say, just to check back to make sure I don't know exactly when they're going to come out of closed session. And then, okay. So I have her down as a public comment. Do you have any other names?
Let me look. Are you going to be on the entire time?
Yeah, I'm holding this meeting open because if I get out of this, then it'll shut the whole thing down. So I'm going to stay in. And then if there's anyone that wants to leave a comment, I just want to make sure I get their names so that we can call on them when the public comment time comes.
Okay, perfect. I will. I'll let you know if other teachers text me for public comments.
Okay, great. And then they should just let them know they're in closed session. So it looks like there's no one in this meeting, but well, actually no. Stan and I both are here, and we'll stay in this meeting until they come back in, and then after that it'll go pretty quick as far as the time to make the public comment.
Okay, alrighty. I will let them know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, just anyone out there wanting to leave a public comment for the special board meeting, just shout out your name and I will keep your name in order so that we keep the comments in order of those who, just like a regular board meeting, who say they'd like to make a public comment. Thank you.
How Americans live and crave the summer. Let's try.
Hello, welcome to the special board meeting. If you would like to make a public comment, just let me know your name. I'll make sure that you have your name called when it's time to make the comment. Just to let you know, we're in closed session right now. So you're welcome to just hang out in this meeting. The board and superintendent will be back approximately 10-15 minutes. Hello, not sure if there's anyone new on here. Just wanted to let everyone know this is the special board meeting. The board and superintendent are in the closed session portion of the meeting right now, and they should be coming out in about 15 minutes. If you'd like to leave a public comment, just let me know your name and I will make sure to get you down in the order that you've come in to the meeting. Thank you. Hello, just wanted to make sure everyone knew that this is the special board meeting. The board and superintendent are in the closed session portion of the meeting. They should be coming back about 10 minutes, around 6 o'clock. If you have a public comment, you can let me know at any time and I'll make sure to put your name down. Thank you. Hello, I just wanted to let everyone know this is the special board meeting. The superintendent and board are in the closed session portion of the meeting. They should be coming back into the open session in about 10 minutes. If you'd like to leave a public comment, please let me know and I will put your name down. If you are just here to listen, if you don't mind muting your microphones, just so that there's no static or makes it sound a little bit not as clear if there's a lot of microphones on. So thank you, I appreciate it. Hello, welcome to the special board meeting. Just to let you know, if you just popped on, the board and superintendent are in the closed session portion of the meeting. They should be back on in about 5 or 10 minutes. If you'd like to leave a public comment, just let me know your name and I'll make sure that we call you when the open session is reconvened. If you are just here to listen, if you don't mind muting your microphones, that'd be great. It causes some static and echoing. It's hard to hear. Thank you.
This is Colin Malik from West Sacramento. I'd like to make a public comment, please.
Hi, Mr. Malik. I'll put you down. So far, we have one public comment in front of you, and so you'll be the second to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Cindy McConnell. I just want to make sure I'm on the list as well.
Hi, yes, you will go right after Colin, Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you.
just to let you know, if you can mute your microphones. Thank you. So far, we have 3 public comments. If you are here to leave a public comment, the board and superintendent will be leaving closed session soon and reconvening open session here. So please stay on the line. Let me know your name and I will put you down if you would like to leave a public comment. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hi, President Jackson.
Yes, ma'am.
President Jackson, can you I just
hear me?
wanted to let you know
Yes.
that there are three public comments. The names are in the chat if you can see it, or I can call them out when you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, if you can call them out for me, yeah, 'cause I don't see them. That'd be great. Okay,
Okay, as soon as we get there on the agenda, I will do the names. Thank you.
great. Thank you. And hold on, my screen's screwing right now. All right. Okay, so we will go ahead and reconvene open session. G, announcements of items covered in closed section. E1, Government Code 54956.9 D2, conference with legal counsel, potential litigation, 2 cases, board discussed and information received. So have the approval. H, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? Moved by Vice President Pizzotti. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Oh.
second by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez. Again, since we are virtual, we knew everything is a roll call vote. Vice President Pizzotti.
Yes.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Yes.
Trustee Wong.
Yes.
Trustee Akala. Trustee Akala. Is she here? She may still be trying to rejoin the meeting, but for the sake of the vote, I will go ahead and vote yes for approval of the agenda as well. We'll move on down to I, public comments. I know Superintendent Luna, you received a couple of public comments for tonight's agenda item.
Hi, good evening, President Jackson. Yes, I received one anonymous email, so I'm unable to speak what name it is, but it is a parent anonymous requesting for the board to consider option 2. This afternoon, we actually have the public comment that was emailed to me. She's in the meeting this evening and would like to make her comments herself.
Okay, perfect.
Excuse me, Board President, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm having a little trouble with my phone. And that last vote was a yes. I'm so sorry. I had to get
Okay.
back on the line again.
That's
Okay.
Yeah, we figured as much.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Hi, this is Ruth. Do you want me to read the names?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. The first public comment in order that it was received is in the meeting is Susan Smith.
Hi, my name is Susan Smith. I teach English and Avid at River City High School, and I want to speak in support of option 1. The playing field for students is more unlevel now than it was when they had the physical school environment to even it out somewhat. Now they are at home enduring circumstances they cannot control, overcrowded living spaces, limited access to technology, and some are suffering anxiety and depression. I've heard this from some of my normally highest performing students. My concern is with equity. But if we go with option 2, kids who already have advantages will gain more advantage by being able to increase their GPA, while others who would under normal circumstances choose the grade over credit may not be able to take that chance right now. It may not hurt them, but it isn't holding them harmless. Option 1 is the only way I see to create equity in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
The second public comment is Colin Malik.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Colin Malik. I live in West Sacramento, and I teach at River City High School. I teach world history, and I also teach Avid, and I am here to speak publicly on 2 matters. First of all, I'll make my short statement. I am in favor of option 1 and the credit, no credit option as holding as many children harmless as possible. My vote and support is for option 1. The second point I would like to discuss tonight is the time delay and the manner of which this grading policy and issue has taken. We are now May 6th. We are 2 weeks behind the initial progress report, and it is unfortunate to see the lag in discretion and making an executive decision by the board. Action required faster and quicker on a decision in the best interest of our students could have allowed for more options and activities for students. The subsequent short time frame that we have left is going to not reflect very well on the decision-making process on the board, and it's somewhat unfortunate. With that, I turn my attention to my third point, seniors. There are many places in the news on a daily basis highlighting the amazing things that schools and communities are doing for their seniors. Whether it's principals and board members or superintendents going door to door, respecting social distancing, and letting seniors know there are instances and examples of districts doing more than what we are. What is the district's plan to support and validate these seniors? There are students out there who are scared, nervous, and have had their worlds completely turned upside down. This district, if it demands and wants to lead from the front, must lead from the front and must come forward with something respecting, honoring, and valuing these seniors who have had their lives thrown into turmoil. And with that, I thank the board for all your hard work. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
The third public comment is from Cindy McConnell.
Hi, good evening. This is Cindy McConnell. I'm a parent of a student that goes to Washington Middle College High School. She is a student who excels in school and wishes for option number 2, which I agree with. I appreciate both teachers' point of view, and I understand that there are students that struggle. My student is not one of them. It's my understanding that option 2 gives the student a choice to choose pass, fail, or a letter grade. So I believe option 2 would be equal throughout and allow the student and their parents to make that choice. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any other public comments? Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and move on to item J then. J1, it's an action item, grading during COVID-19 school closure. Dr. Parsons.
Good evening, President Jackson, Vice President Pizzotti, Board of Trustees, and Cabinet, and guests who are with us tonight. Tonight you have a resolution in front of you, 1920-16, and it's on grading and graduation requirements during the COVID-19 1920 school year. And so we put it into resolution language. We brought this to the board, what our recommendations were after consulting with WSTA, our teachers union, and all site administration. After our discussion at the last special session, we have added an option 2, which is grading will reflect credit or no credit in addition to students being able to opt in to receive a letter grade. The rest of the points were already discussed at the last board meeting. Is there additional information I can provide to the board?
I don't know if there's additional information, but I think it's kind of worthy of a discussion, a little bit more of a discussion since Clerk Kirby Gonzalez was not actually present at that last meeting. I don't know if she had anything that she would like to add to the discussion as far as the credit, no credit versus or letter grade options.
I do.
Really quickly, Trustee Gonzalez, if I can just give you a couple of, because we've done additional research after discussing with the board at the last session, because everything has unintended consequences. And so I just wanted to briefly talk about option 2. We have found out that if a student is opting in for a letter grade and our UCCSU private universities are aware that we are opting in for grades. So I'll give you an example. If one student opts in for a grade and they get an A, but another student who may be an A, B, or C student opts out, they will ask, why didn't you opt in for that grade? Because the credit, no credit is basically the board's decision and the student didn't have any choice in the matter. Therefore, it was equitable. And just to give another example, with advanced placement classes, what UCCSU does, if you have, for example, you have 10 advanced placement classes that you offer and a student only takes 3 of them, the UCCSU will ask, why did you not take advantage of more advanced placement classes? I know that because I used to work with the UC Office of the President with AP classes. So I just wanted to point that out to you as far as equity so you could have a discussion on that.
So if Jackie and I were both seniors, both taking AP classes, I opt for the grade, she does not. We both applied to the same school because since she had the option of opting for it, but chose not to, or wasn't aware that there was the option, she potentially could be damaged by not having opted for the grade, whereas I would not because I opted for the grade. Is that correct?
Obviously, I can't say what they will do, but that is that is a possibility because they will look at that we are offering that to students, that they can have a grade.
Gotcha.
Therefore, if they are a high level student and chooses not to do it, or they're having difficulties at home during the COVID-19 crisis or whatever, they would not be able to, they didn't want the grade, they may be negatively impacted.
Okay.
So if I may just make a quick comment. Sorry, I'm not raising my hand because of my video is not on. One thing is that particularly in the private universities, whether it's University of the Pacific, Stanford, anything even outside of California, what colleges are going to look for is the highest potential option based on our policy and the grading parameters. So before COVID-19, obviously the highest potential is A, B, C, D, and F. There are certain circumstances, of course, depending on individual concerns or medical concerns, where a child could, request a waiver away from it under their circumstance. But in general, the highest potential option is letter grades. So by us determining that it's credit, no credit, that would be the highest potential option. Credit, no credit with a student choice to opt in. The opting in provides the highest potential option, which is where if you, when you gave your example, President Jackson, if you and Trustee Wong applied to, let's say, Stanford together,
That's a great example.
and you know that.
Which, by the way, I wouldn't.
Okay.
As a Cal grad.
Except that you had the GPA to do so. So if that were the case,
only
then
4.325.
So basically, Trustee Wong would be asked, well, you have one student from Washington Unified that took the option of the letter grade. Can you explain to me, please, why you did not choose the highest potential of a grade and you chose to accept credit? So that is actually what we're beginning to hear a little bit more of. I know that there's another school district that had that same discussion. So that is the new that we have learned of what an unintended consequence could possibly be. So thank you for allowing me to make that statement.
Well, thank you for that, because that's pretty significant. That's very significant. Kirby Gonzalez.
Okay, thank you. I think for me, that's my largest concern, because initially you hear this thought of options and it sounds like, oh, you can all fit, and get what you need. Each student can get what they need, but I think there's a lot of unintended consequences that widens a gap. And we know that at River City, for example, we have ways where students can get homework support. Just like in college, you can go to, the writing center for support. Well, that's not really there right now. We have classroom bilingual aids and others that they're just not having access to. So we are not able to control an environment at home where our students are. And I worry that option 2 widens any gaps that we might already have. And I think I felt very clearly the last few weeks, crisis teaching. I mean, we are in a crisis at my house with this, and my student, my children, I can't imagine right now if they were seniors in high school, and I think it's a really unfair situation to place our students in, because it's not, and that even if they earned it right now, are they really earning it? Everything looks very different. And so while I really respect the parent that spoke up and the children that are working hard and want that grade and want to show how hard they're working, it's just not the same as if you're in a classroom. It's not. This during this time is not the same as when we're together. And so I think those are the big pieces for me: the unintended consequences, the equity that we can't give all of our kids what they need that we would be doing if we were at school. And then third, we said that within the MOU that the district and WSTA were going to work together with the distance learning committee and give a recommendation. And their recommendation was option 1. And I feel like we're in a place right now where we need to listen to our experts in crises. So right now we need to listen to our doctors and our nurses when it comes to health, and when it comes to what this looks like for student grading, I think we need to listen to our experts and go with their recommendations. So thank you for allowing me that time. I appreciated the dialogue. I did listen to what you all had to say last time, and I thought there were a lot of great questions, a lot of good things explored, and I really appreciated what everyone had to say, and that's where I am. Thanks.
Trustee Wong.
I
President,
concur.
Yes, yes, right after
I'm
the
so sorry, I can't see after.
Go ahead. President Jackson sees me. Go ahead, Trustee Alcala.
I was just going to say no. Thank you for the opportunity, and what Trustee Kirby Gonzalez said makes a lot of sense. You know, we as a member, I'm on the executive board of the California Latino School Board Association. We've had this discussion just last week, and we have talked about equity. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for some of our students who have that potential but are not getting the type of help that they can get in school. It would be so difficult for them, you know, to be able to opt in for a letter grade at this juncture. And we believe that the only thing that we can do is, in order to, you know, provide all students, you know, with an opportunity and to be fair about this and equitable, is to go with the credit and no credit. And this is something that, as I said, I discussed with the executive board of the California Latino School Board Association. So we're very concerned how this may impact Latino students. So our choice on many boards has been to opt into the credit, no credit. So it would be option 1.
Okay, thank you for that, Trustee Wong.
Yeah, I affirm what both trustees just said. I mean, I'm fairly consistent, so I'm going to stick with what I said last week. But I also think what's also important, talking about crisis teaching, people are crisis learning, right? And again, having been one of those students, kind of being able to step away and say, I can focus only on my AP, one of my 5 AP classes, versus worrying also about a grade, I think would alleviate a lot of that pressure and anxiety that students are facing right now, especially the high achieving ones, which, as we know, as I said last week, is that there are increased mental health issues, increased anxiety, and increases in suicidal ideation amongst a lot of the student population. But I also think last week, I just wanted to affirm that that I do trust teachers and the WSTA MOU, but in addition to that, really appreciate our avid teachers stepping up today and sharing with you, like, these classes are designed for first generation college going kids, and they, their comments regarding equity and access, I think we really should listen to. With that said, I think I also shared with some folks is that the D- standard versus the C- standard, I would rather go with that, that's a discussion between the teachers and the district, but I do have a concern that we are lowering standards to D- versus a C-, but hopefully that would work out with however teachers work that out with the district. So I am supportive of credit, no credit, and that's it.
Okay, thank you for that. I have to admit, I think coming into, I know particularly at the last board meeting, my position was I was in favor of giving parents and students the option, because I saw that as being the most. There you are. I didn't see you, Kobe. So go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and go? Because
Okay.
you weren't on my screen, so I didn't know where you went.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
So I think, before this discussion, I was 100% in favor of option 2 and letting people have the option. Now, the question that I think is starting to get my attention is that colleges would actually be asking a student why you didn't opt for a letter grade or why you didn't opt for a credit and no credit, and holding that against students in this time of crisis, they would really do that? This is more for Andy. I mean, that seems rather unfair, and kind of counter all the directives that we've seen from the governor's office, from Tony Thurman's office. I mean, it just doesn't seem like that would be the way that things are handled.
I would agree that it's counterintuitive, Trustee Pizzotti. However, we're not just talking UCCSU, we're talking about private universities that the governor really, his policies doesn't affect that. So what I'm saying is, yes, they do that with advanced placement classes, and they would do that now, saying, okay, what is going on? Because they go through each application. It's not a computerized program. And so they will notice, and they could notice. And like I said, I'm not obviously evaluating the transcripts working for UCCSU, so I cannot guarantee it. I'm saying that there is an unintended consequence that could occur for students who opt not to do grades, who normally may be a 4.0 or a 3.0 student.
So what's the likelihood of that unintended consequence? I guess that's my question, because if you're talking about a private institution, the standard of getting into a private college is generally higher than, say, a state or a UC. Is that not true?
In general terms, that's true. But I will, and I don't want to open a can of worms here, but going back to the NCAA discussion of the last board meeting, they're doing the same thing. They are looking at what is the policy that the school district is doing. And if all of a sudden we're giving the choice to the student instead of the board making the decision to do this, they will ask, well, why didn't you had this opportunity, why didn't you take it?
So okay, then the simple answer is because I was in a time of crisis. I mean, I get that, but there's plenty of answers that I think would hold students harmless in this situation.
And I understand that. We did have a conversation today about students and parents and the board making the policy decisions, etc. One of my concerns is putting the onus on the student. And so we're saying, no, let's go ahead and do it because it makes sense to us. However, now it's the responsibility of the parent and the student to talk to the university or the colleges and explain why I did what I did.
Okay, so we're saying if we take option one, we take that off the table, and yet we're still potentially hindering the straight A student that deserves to have the A.
I will make, I think it was Ms. Smith that mentioned it, or no, I think it was Trustee Wong. No, it was Trustee Gonzalez. I'm sorry, that distance learning is not the same as spending 90 minutes in a class doing collaborative exercises, doing all that. And so I think the point is putting the onus on the student to make that decision, and by the universities are going to hold students harmless if it's credit, no credit. If we say they have this option, then they should be taking that option. It's also not for just the student who always gets A's. It's another student who also always gets A's, but has some personal issues going on right now because of COVID-19. And so we're trying to create a system that's equitable for all kids, regardless of what their situation is at home, connectivity or academics or whatever. We're trying to even the playing field. And so we feel that credit, no credit makes sense for that reason.
All right, so let me Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to filter mine through, and you can go, Trustee Wong, after that.
Absolutely, I understand.
One last question on this is, what about that student? So the grades are no worse than what your previous grade was, right? And your no credit is a C- or better, right? Is that your standard?
When we get into standards of what credit, no credit is, that's something that Director Moisich and I and WSTA can discuss, because obviously we can't tell a teacher what to grade or what grade to give, and so a lot of it's really up to them. I just think it's really important to note that I am very careful not to put the onus on kids. And that's just really important because we're the policymakers.
So the hypothetical that I was thinking of was the kid that's, just barely gonna make it into college, or may not be there yet with their GPA, since the SATs didn't come through and the ACTs didn't come through this year. They're looking purely on grades, and say they had a 2.5, and they may not be able to, they really needed this final semester to get them above that.
Oh, I can speak to that.
Okay.
So actually, let me let Trustee Wong go first, and then I'll speak to that with my other comments. Trustee Wong, go ahead.
Thank you to President Jackson. I'm in concurrence. Having worked with a lot of homeless kids, foster kids, and the like, it's pretty traumatic to have to require people to keep on re-traumatizing your story, right? Retelling your story over and over and over. And I'll use this. It's for those who are listening. Poverty pimping. Saying that I live in a one-bedroom apartment, having to take care of my 3 kids. So please, I'm normally a straight A student, and so I'm sorry that person had more resources. It's really challenging, and from, again, going back to that equity lens, putting the onus on kids who are trying their best in this moment and re-traumatize and retelling their story every single time to every single university they apply for. I think that that's inequitable and quite frankly unfair, because those who had resources and who were able to have a fast computer, fast internet, pay for those extra classes, and then ask for the grade so that they that they deserve, that other student probably would deserve too, if they weren't learning in a traumatic pandemic like this. I think it's really actually unfair.
Yeah, I it's funny because I'll be honest with you, my position is changed quite drastically from the last time that we had this conversation, because I think initially I would have been in favor of giving the students the option, not realizing the unintended consequences that we may be putting kids into, and that if they're given that option, that because they had that option, were either unable to or did not choose to opt in for that grade for whatever reason that might be, that could potentially harm a student. I think we can't allow that. And so to address the question that you asked earlier about the admissions thing, my understanding is, and my wife and I have talked about this because her is that there are all the UCs and CSUs, particularly with this group of COVID kids, as they are calling them, is the focus has been on how do we make sure that they handle these students properly. And so if you were a student who is on that proverbial bubble of getting into a school, that in all likelihood, by you taking that class credit, or having the only option you had as being credit, no credit, that it actually works more in your favor, because you're more likely to you're going to get more leeway because that was the only option available to you. And because of the situation they're in, they're actually granting students a lot more latitude when it comes to admissions this year in particular than they normally would have under normal circumstances. and take it. And trust me, I was a seventh semester admit when I got into Davis, and so I know the importance of having those extras, that extra semester or two, in order to be admitted. I mean, I was that kid, and that was actually what helped me to get in. And so my understanding is that the position of the CSU and the UC is that students are going to be given a much more latitude. And if you're one of those kids, the likelihood is that you're probably going to go ahead and they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt and let you in this year because of what's going on versus keeping you out because you had a semester of classes that were credit, no credit.
Right. Well,
thank you for those comments, President Jackson.
Hang on a second, Dr. Parsons. Let me just quickly, because I was right with you, President Jackson. I was the same way. I was a bubble kid. And basically the only way I got in was because of baseball. Now, these kids don't have this year's worth of sports to help them as the extracurricular. And that was basically my only avenue to get in was, oh, they looked at you, you're a bubble kid, you got baseball, okay, we'll let you in, because you had a lot of extra stuff to deal with. So that was kind of like, that was one of the things that I was looking at amongst a myriad of other things. But I mean, I hear what you guys are saying, and I'm starting to lean. So I was just hoping that there's, the bubble kids, the kids that deserve an A, they really could use a letter grade to help them in that sense. I guess if you're saying that the credit, no credit will give them actual extra leeway, then I think that would sway my vote.
It will. They are passing the class, and I think what's really important to remember is we have about a month left of school, and the vast majority of kids who have applied to four-year colleges have already been accepted.
Gotten a letter. Yeah.
Right, they're already there, and so and that's what Director Moisich and myself, we've been talking about next year's seniors. So Director Moisich and Principal Billingsley will be discussing making sure that any learning gaps from this semester up at the high school is not negatively impacting our 11th grade students.
Correct. And like I said, my understanding is that the UCs and CSUs understand that, hey, they're at least for the next 4 years, they're going to have to be making some sort of an adjustments when it comes to evaluating students, taking the current situation, the status of things, because I mean, we very well may be in the same type of a situation coming the first semester of next year. I pray to God that we're not, but if we are, there's going to have to be that same type of latitude given. And I'll be honest with you, I was, I think, and actually until Ms. Malik brought it up, the fact that we are already so far into the process, it really I hadn't even thought about that part of it. The fact that we only have about 4 more weeks left in the school year as it is. We're already past that initial progress report time. And if this was going to be a decision that we're going to make, it probably should have been a decision that we made a month ago versus making that decision now, because then it would have given students a better opportunity to be prepared, maybe given teachers a better opportunity to prepare more rigorous lessons, and then giving parents and students a better opportunity to really kind of evaluate the situation versus having thrust this upon them, going into the last 3 or 4 weeks of the school year. So I have to admit, I mean, as much as I would like to see those kids who are very hardworking get the grade that they rightfully deserve, I think the best way to make sure that all of our students are held as harmless as possible is to give them only the only option. That way they're not having to go ahead and, as Trustee Wong called it, poverty pimping themselves and kind of having to retell their story over and over and over again when it comes time to that decision to be made, and just kind of take that decision out of their hands and make the decision for them and say, hey, look, this is the best way that we can handle the situation right well with that, and thinking about it thoroughly, I think that's probably the best way to make sure that all of our students are hold as harmless as possible in this situation. I'll be honest with you. 3 hours ago, that probably wouldn't have been my position, but I definitely think that is the case now.
If there isn't any more discussion, can I move to adopt?
Dr. Parsons, did you have something else to add?
No, I was just seeing if there was any other questions, and the resolution would have to say which option and do a roll call vote, obviously, because we're online.
Yeah. Are there any other questions?
Just one more quick question. By going credit, no credit, is it possible that we're sending the message to some of the A students or the B students, the kids that are getting the good grades? Hey, this is a semester. You don't have to do your best work. Just do good enough. Is it possible that we could be sending that message?
I don't think so.
No, I mean,
I don't think so.
Excuse me, this is a parent. Do I get to speak again?
According to what
No, actually, you don't.
President Jackson, I think
Thank
you're
you.
right with what Mr. Malik had shared. Essentially, the grading period has since passed, right? It is, to your point. I don't even know at this point, Vice President Pizzotti, you know, they've been working hard, right? And to my knowledge, it is, you know, a little bit late in the game to try to kind of shift it.
Yeah. And I do. I mean, and believe me, I get it. I have ultra competitive students of my own. Now, granted, they're not in high school yet, thank God. But you know, I could see, and I completely understand and completely empathize with the position of our parents and of our students who truly deserve to have that grade. But I think, in light of the fact that if the college systems are going to be looking at these credit, no credit grades, not in an unfavorable light, that's probably the best way to go forth with it. Now, the one thing that I would like to stress about that, though, is if we do go forward with that option of credit, no credit, the one thing I am dead set against is having students being able to receive credit, no credit for D- type work. And I trust that Dr. Parsons, that you and Stan will work with WSTA in trying to get that hammered out. But I do not believe we should be lowering the standard for receiving that credit, no credit. We should be maintaining that standard as much as we possibly can in order to make sure that our kids are still doing the things that they need to do.
Director Moisage, Assistant Superintendent Gonzalez, and myself will communicate that to WSTA.
Okay. Anything further?
Motion.
Luna?
If I
Motion's
just
on the
made
table.
a final comment.
Yeah, Superintendent Luna, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a closing remark that from the conversations that I've heard from the Board of Trustees, whether the board took action on March 16th, on the first day that we closed, or whether whether the board is taking action this evening, what I want to make sure is clear is that the decision is being made under the lens of equity, where we have 67% of our students identified in the unduplicated count of free and reduced, homeless, foster youth, and English language learners. So under the lens of equity, this credit, no credit is addressing the do no harm for the most amount of students possible in our district. So the quarter break was started 2 weeks ago. The beginning of, I believe it was April 20th, where we originally brought this forward. So in terms of time frame, what I want to make sure that our community understands is that this decision is being made based on the do no harm for the most amount of students in our district and evening the playing field for our students to be successful. And we will do everything possible. I know our teachers are working on motivation, encouragement, increasing engagement of students' participation in the learning. So we will continue that path as well. But I just felt compelled to make that statement. We're doing the decision that is going to benefit all of our students in some capacity. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to adopt
Option one.
the resolution with option 1 of credit, no credit on the table.
And I will second that.
Okay, seconded by our clerk Kirby Gonzalez. All right, and seeing how, again, we are virtual, so everything is roll call vote. Vice President Pizzotti.
This is a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with a begrudging aye.
Okay, clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Akala.
Aye.
Okay, and I also vote in favor of the resolution of adopting option 1 for the option of credit, no credit grading for our students for the remainder of this academic year, with the understanding that Dr. Parsons, Director Moisich, and Assistant Superintendent Gonzalez will work with WSTA to make sure that we are maintaining our standards as far as what qualifies as credit versus no credit. Credit being at least C- caliber work versus D-.
What happens if you get a D credit or
Then
D-? Then you don't
get no credit.
And what if that's not enough to get you to graduate?
This summer we are we every summer we offer credit recovery. This particular summer we will make it available for any junior or senior that is needing to do the credit recovery process.
Thank you, board, and I appreciate the thoughtful discussion that you've had over the last couple of weeks. Thank you.
Okay, let me go ahead and since it is a resolution, I should go ahead and read the resolution. So this is the resolution of the Board of Trustees of Washington Unified School District, grading and graduation requirements during COVID-19, the 2019-2020 school year. Whereas on March 4th, 2020, the Governor of California declared a state of emergency due to the outbreak and spread of a novel coronavirus, COVID-19, and whereas on March 13th, protect students and staff against the spread of COVID-19. And whereas on March 19th, 2020, the Governor of California issued an executive order directing all individuals living in the state of California to stay at home or at their place of residence with limited exception until further notice. And whereas due to safety concerns and the need for ongoing social distancing, the State Superintendent of Public Instruction stated it appears students will not return to campuses before the end of the 2019-2020 school year. And whereas it is necessary to ensure the continuation of public education to the greatest extent possible while maintaining the health and safety of the students and staff, and whereas the board is committed to continue teaching and learning, including assessment and evaluation of work through alternate means during this prolonged period of school closure. And whereas it is imperative that the superintendent have the tools to ensure the health, safety, and well-being of students, staff, and families on and off campuses, and to ensure the educational needs of all students are addressed through alternative locations or virtual learning environments. And whereas during the school campus closure, the district transitioned from classroom learning to distance learning through various models to ensure a delivery of a high quality education to its students, and will continue to provide this distance learning to the extent feasible through the end of the 2019-2020 school year. And whereas the COVID-19 crisis, school campus closure, and the current shelter-in-place orders render satisfaction of the district's community services and completion of the requirements for students attending high school unfeasible and or impossible for the graduating class of 2020. Now, therefore, the board hereby finds, determines, declares, orders, and resolves as follows to ensure that students are held harmless due to schools closures. 1. Foregoing recitals are true. The following graduation requirements set forth in Board Policy 6146.1 for students attending high school will be waived for the 2019-2020 school year. Completion of the district community service requirements. High school graduation is reflective of the state of California graduation requirements. In option 1, grading will reflect credit or no credit. The following will be true for grades 6 through 8. Grading will reflect credit or no credit. The following will be true for grades TK through 5. A narrative report card reflective of teacher feedback on progress towards standards. And 5, the board hereby authorizes and directs the superintendent and his or her designee to make any changes to the administrative regulations that are necessary and to take other actions as may be required to implement a waiver of the graduation requirements and grading criteria. This is to pass and adopted the 6th day of May 2020 by the following votes. What are we? 6 ayes, 0 noes, no abstentions, no absence.
That would be 5 ayes.
Are we 5? Yeah, 5. My bad. I don't know who the heck I was counting, but yeah, so 5. So 5 ayes. I guess I was just creating an extra spot. Okay. All right. So there is our resolution. Where are we? Where I lost my spot.
President Jackson,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. I don't know, since it's a special board meeting, if we can do future agenda items at this one, or does it have to be at a regular board meeting?
I think that's at a regular board meeting, not the special one.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. All right. So with that, that is the that was all for the special board meeting. Without anything further, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved by Vice President Pizzotti. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez. So roll call vote. Vice President Pizzotti,
Yes.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez,
Yes.
Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Trustee Alcala. I'm assuming that's going to be an aye. And I too vote in favor of adjournment. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Very
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you,
Thank
President.
you.
All right. Bye-bye. Don't forget
Thank you, guys.
Don't forget to end the call.
Yeah, right.